Hey guys, it's Dylan.
And it's Clint, and we're back to talk to you about the Man of Steel nutritional principles. All right, so let's kick this off. A bit of the introduction for what we're going to run through today. We're going to cover off exactly what is good nutrition. We're going to look at what macronutrients are, macros, and why we track them. And then we're going to get into specific nutrition for your goals so you know what you're eating and why you're eating it.
All right, guys. So first of all, what is good nutrition? So good nutrition allows you to form nutritional habits into a lifestyle. So we're not talking about quick fixes. We're not talking about fad diets. We're talking about turning our nutritional habits into a lifestyle that we can maintain for an extensive period of time, ideally the rest of our lives. So good nutrition is honest, it's outcome based, and it aids in your health and your fitness goals while still leaving you with enough energy to do everyday activities. So we're not trying to deplete you. We're not trying to absolutely, draw every last ounce of energy out of you. We want you to have enough energy to still perform everyday activities while still getting the results you want as well. So it gives you enough balance as well to go out and have a social life. So you're not going to be feeling guilty for going out every now and then, as long as it's controlled and we're doing the right things every other time. And it gets you results, which is pretty damn important.
All right, so macros. What are macros? So there's three macronutrients, and it's just a fancy word for carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So it's important to understand that each macro has its unique role in the body. So the effect of what a carbohydrate does will be different slightly to what proteins have, and same again for fat. So understanding how it affects your body can give you a better understanding of why you're eating the foods and help you understand your food choices. Now, it is important to understand because we are looking at calories and they do have an important effect on how much food we eat. So each macro has a unique energy content. So it's important to keep this in the back of your head. So carbohydrates, for 1 gram of carbohydrates, you're looking at 4 calories. For a gram of protein, 4 calories again. And for 1 gram of protein, this is the one that sneaks up you on 9 calories. So it's particularly important to understand with fats there. That's if you typically when people blow out their macros, it's in the fats there, or blow out their calories, or it's in the fats there because there's a bit more fat dense, calorie dense rather. So particularly around cooking, use a bit of fat, like whether it be butter or whatnot in your cooking there. It's easy to sneak in those extra calories around cooking time there. So just be conscious of that, okay, guys?
So why do we actually track macros? So as sort of Clint just touched on in the previous slide, energy balance. So it's the key to successful nutrition, no matter what your goal is. So by energy balance, we're talking calories, and in terms of what your goal is. If you want to put on weight, then we just put you in an energy surplus. If you want to lose weight, we put you in a calculated energy deficit. Um, as we just said, total energy is calculated in calories. So we need a certain amount of each macronutrient for optimal health, metabolic function, recovery, and also energy levels. So think about tracking your macros as tracking your finances. Basically, if you're not tracking where your money's going, you're going to go broke. And if you're not tracking what you're doing with your food, well, you're either going to get fat or just not get the results you want. So without tracking your macros, you're simply limiting yourself. You're limiting your chances of success, and you're just relying on guesswork.
All right, so let's get specifics with carbohydrates here. So carbohydrates are for like muscle and brain's number one energy source. So it is important there to have energy. You will hear people, especially when they do that, not eating carbohydrates, they have a brain fog is a typical thing. Why they have a bad name? Because people tend to consume a diet in a way that it's way too high in carbohydrates. So it's easy for those things like those sneaky sugars and sneaky carbohydrates to come in, and that does have an effect on the body. So it is important to understand how much of that you're eating. So what happens when we don't eat carbohydrates? The performance in our life and work and exercise drop off. You just have that fog there. You don't feel yourself, and our bodies slowly lose the ability to break down carbs, commonly termed as metabolic damage there. So it's important that it is an important macro. You can't just eliminate a macro from your diet. It is important to keep it in there, and it will make you feel better. And also, carbohydrates taste delicious too most of the time, so they're a nice little treat to keep in your diet. You just have to be conscious of where they're coming from and how much of it you eat. So it's also important to understand that anything bad in the wrong dose will be bad for you. You can drink too much water and drown yourself to death by drinking water, but goddamn, water is good for you, obviously. So eat your daily carb allowance. Don't be one of those. Don't try and think you have to eat less carbs to get a better result. It won't particularly help you. So everything is calculated for a particular reason to serve your goal. So it is there for a reason. Right? So don't be skimping out on those sorts of things. Um, Use the calculator on the membership site to help you calculate the carbohydrate intake goal. Now, this might sound a bit complex, a bit overwhelming. Now, when you jump on board with, you see the calculator there, it all punches it out for you. It's just a matter of tracking what goes into your mouth. So just be diligent with that.
All right, guys, on to protein, the next macronutrient. So protein is the building blocks of muscles. It's vital for our immune system, and it's also full of essential amino acids. Um, so for optimal results, so we don't just want to eat like one big protein source a day. I mean, most guys will just have, a big typical cereal for breakfast, some sort of meat for lunch, and then a big serving of protein at the end of the day. We want to be eating protein at every meal. We're talking like a good serving of 30 to 40 grams every 3 to 4 hours to constantly be stemming protein synthesis, which is on to the next point here. Um, so we want to be constantly getting that protein in. That's going to help us continually build muscle and recover non-stop as well. So muscle is metabolically active tissue, and even when losing weight, we want to maintain or even gain as much muscle as possible. The more muscles we have, the more carbs we can eat, guys.
All right, fats. Fats has to be one of the most widely misunderstood and the most myths around like dieting come from fats. The important thing to understand is fats don't make you fat. I can't stress this enough, team. Fats are vital for your health. So you skimp out on fats. The last 40 years of dietary principles around the world has shown that that's just not a good idea. Okay. The reason why it's not a good idea is because it is vital for hormone production and transportation of vitamins and nutrients around the body, particularly your vitamins A, D, E, and K, so your fat soluble vitamins. We're not going to go too deep into the hormones and stuff like that. It's going to be a bit too complex for the scope of this one, but it's fair to say that the hormones will affect your body. I'm sure everyone here has heard of testosterone. Testosterone is produced, or the base of testosterone production comes from fats, particularly cholesterol, which is most people tout as like the evil devil of food. The fact of the matter just isn't true. Like we said before, too much of anything will be a bad thing, so you do have to track and be conscious of it. And also, where you get your fat source from is important as well. So this doesn't mean you can go slam Big Macs and get your fat down. It's important to get your fat source from good quality nutritional sources. So, like I said, it is important to cover that's because fats aren't equal. So you want to aim for natural saturated fats, and the majority of fats come from mono unsaturated fat sources. Use the macro calculator and membership sites to calculate your daily fat intake goals so you know exactly how much of it you need to be eating.
All right, guys, so we've covered the macros. Now we're on to what types of foods to actually eat. And one thing we're sort of aiming for with everyone is to fill your macros with at least 80% whole or unprocessed foods. Why? Basically balance. I mean, if you're aiming for 100% on anything, basically you're striving for something that's quite unrealistic. Now, you're not always going to be able to only ever eat unprocessed whole foods. So having this mindset will allow you to then have a bit of balance with your lifestyle, which is what we're all about, building up that lifestyle. Um, so 80% whole foods will allow you to eat out. It'll also get rid of that thought process of only ever eating healthy, clean foods. You still have that option to add in foods into your lifestyle that most people wouldn't see as foods that you should be eating if you want to be healthy. So another rule to stick to is trying to eat 90% of your meals, hitting your macros as closely as possible. This way, again, like for a lot of people, they might have an off day or an off meal, and they think, oh, okay, you know, this wasn't the best day today. I'm stuffed. I'll start again next week. I'll start again tomorrow. If you have an off meal, just get back into it next meal. Don't worry about what you can't control. Just control what's going to happen next. Just remember, it's all about the lifestyle. It's all about, not about just crash dieting. And this is in the membership site as well. It's on one of the pictures below, but basically it's just a sample of the types of foods that you want to be filling your macros with. So now the side, you got all your carbohydrate sources there, good carbohydrate sources, the unprocessed, the whole, and try and fill majority of your carbs from them. In the middle, we got protein. Remember, you want to be eating proteins like a good protein source every 3 to 4 hours. There's a good sample of where to get them from. And on the right, we have your fat sources too. So don't be too worried. There's this exact photo down below.
All right, so key points. Hit your macros every day within 5 to 10 grams of each macronutrient. All right, team, like this sounds maybe a bit too, I know, anal, but the reality of it is the tighter you are and the more specific, the more diligent you are with this, the better result. It's just as simple as that. Like, wish it wasn't so sometimes, wish you could have the high life and do whatever you want, but the reality of it is a lot of us are probably in the situation that we are and the body confidence we have because we haven't been diligent with what we eat. So, get it done. The more diligent you are, the more specific you are, the better result. So it's just, better result, the happier you'll be, I guess. Have a bit of faith in the process, guys, and it is a process, team. Like, popular to what some people might try and tout, it takes time, you know what I mean? Like, have trust in the process. You'll get a better result from consistently doing the right things over a longer period of time. You know, like we said at the start, we're looking at something to change your lifestyle. We're looking to implement something over the long term. And the longer you do this for, the better the result. And there really is no excuse and no reason why you couldn't do this over a lifetime. So there are accountability tasks, so you make sure you complete these every day. It's more for yourselves than it is for us, team. So like we said, being diligent, getting things done will help you track your progress there, and this get involved in tracking your macros every day. So it does involve that. It's part of your task list there. So the better you do it, the better the result. It's as simple as that, team. Expected results. All right, so loosely we can expect to lose about 0.75 kilogram a week, a fat loss of around 0.5% a week, and looking about put a half a kilo of muscle gain on there a week. So loosely or roughly, that's what we typically see with clients who follow these principles. And the more specific you are and the more you stick to it, the better those results will be.
All right, nutrition for your goals. So it's not all about training, and I mean, whether you do want to lose some fat, whether you actually want to lose a heap of weight or put on some muscle and strength, um, basically it all comes down to your nutrition. So as sort of Clint touched on in the previous slide, expected results for all the different goals, it all comes down to nutrition. So training stays pretty similar. And we basically account for all of the goals with the type of training, but the nutrition is what determines what you want to achieve. So if your goal, if the goal of your training is to get you strong and build muscle, then basically we're going to put you on a lean muscle nutrition program. If you want to lose some body fat, we just put you in a calculated energy deficit. So the goal of the nutrition will determine if you lose weight, lose fat, or put on more muscle. It's what it all comes down to, guys. And that's basically it. That's going to wrap up everything for the nutritional principles. Get stuck in, really take each step seriously, and complete all the accountability tasks, which Clint just touched on before as well. All right, guys, we'll speak to you soon.